Greetings and salutations. Welcome, race fans, motorsport lovers, and others. You know who you are. And welcome to episode 88 of Waved Yellow. We've got our production department is in a bit of a they like ducks at the moment. On the top it looks calm, but underneath they're paddling. Great show tonight, I think. When Gary decides to join us, you will notice the shortest, fasterest, loudest, moutherest man in off-road racing and other stuff in South Africa, Evan Hutchison. Evan, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Good to be here. I've been following the show for a while now, and feel quite privileged to have got the nod.
Well, we feel privileged that a man of your and our research department came back to me and they said, my word. Well, they used other words, but if I do the family-friendly version, they said, my word, this man is colourful. He has a colourful past. Gary, how's it? How are you? Are you here?
Colin, good evening.
Brew, what's up?
Mr. Hutchison.
Gary, how do you spell it?
Haha. Ouch.
Gary's autocorrect was having fun and games. So, by now you know the way. God, I hate it when I start a sentence with so. It's like, you know, the millennials from Cape Town, Gary. So if I start a sentence with so, then...
So what?
I'll elbow you.
Will you? Thank you very much. Right, said Fred. The way it works is we'll have a look at what happened. We're going to talk what is. And then we'll throw forward to what to look forward to in the coming weeks. By the way, for those of you in Joburg, it's actually a lucky evening. Do yourself a favor, take your device, walk outside, and have a look at the moon, because it is absolutely awesome. Sometimes it's over there. Gary, do you think that you could go and give us a moon shot?
That moon, eh?
The moon in the sky. And how's this coincidence? Because it is 50 years ago today, Evan. You may have remembered this when you were in your teenage years. That and who were the other guys?
Neil Armstrong, Aldrin, and Buzz Aldrin. Neil Armstrong, Aldrin, and
Mike Collins.
That's the other one.
They went to the moon. For those of you who think that it's a conspiracy theory, deal with it. Send us your comments and queries. The other thing is, Evan has done a lot of racing. He's made a lot of friends. He knows a lot of people in racing. You may have questions, queries, and comments that you'd like, some things that you'd like answered. Let us know, and Gary will check them out.
Yes, like we have a couple of things. So we got Candace Schmidt says, good evening.
Hello, Candace.
Guys. And Michael Jackson says, yes, woo! Looked at it tonight. Who? Marius Jackson, yeah. And then Angelo.
Michael Jackson.
Marius Jackson.
He's walking on the moon.
And Angelo from the guy with the fuel, you know. He sniffs those tin cans. That has got that racing stuff.
Not the blue fuel.
No,
the gold fuel.
He says, evening, gents. And then...
hello, how's it?
David White's looking for mileage again. How's it, David? Nice having you on board again.
David, did you enjoy your picture that young Michael Koenig drew for you? We had Michael Koenig on. I mean, he's like a bit. He's a talented artist. Sorry, I've got to control where the mind goes. Gary.
From the show we did with him.
Yeah.
The guy's been commissioned to do 5.
5 already.
5 already.
Who the other? I know he did a picture of Stu White.
Stuart White.
And then he did Stradale Motorsports
for Harry, and then he's doing one for Colin. They've gone past me. Other race drivers.
Is that your Alzheimer's kicking in, Gary? Or is it just your mind that you just couldn't give a Right, what happened?
Okay, Mark Berger wants to know.
Yeah. Who's Mark Berger? Oh, we are in the grounds of the higher ground.
Oh, you see this place? Okay.
It's actually very lekker. Restaurants full. They've got cool drinks. They've got vitamin drinks. They've got health shakes. and they've got unbelievable food. It's in the grounds of St. Stithian School.
That's right, yeah.
And I've got this issue. You know, the Joburg schools have got this huge rivalry. My son went to to Kes. Jesus, Richard, I'm sorry. Went to Kes. So Kes, St. Stithian, St. John's, there's all sorts of issues. Gary, where were you going?
No, Mark Berger wants to ask Evan why we call him Pigeon.
Pigeon! What's the story?
Yes, I didn't say, I just repeated.
It's a long story.
Pigeon.
We got time.
We do have time.
No, okay, cut it down to in a nutshell.
Having a big mouth, I give everybody nicknames wherever I go, and a lot of them come back to haunt me. And so most of the nicknames I've given to people over the years have come back to haunt me. So Pigeon Balls is one of my racing nicknames from Pigeon Balls.
And what's Mark Berger's nickname?
Family show.
What's what?
Mark Berger's name.
Hamburger. Look at the size of him. He's been stealing the burgers.
Oh, he's been testing and eating them and making sure they're right.
Yeah, we know who took the part. Now we can see who took the part.
And there he is. So, Gary, what happened this last weekend?
Richard Rutz, just quick one. Richard Rutz says, "Hi, my mate, Evan!"
Hello, Reggie, my boy, how are you?
Now, there's some stories.
And then,
But it's a family show. We've only got 30 minutes.
He taught me most of what I know. Al Boermaker plan.
And do you know that Richard Rutz invented Red Bull and vodka in Killarney back in the days when he used to party hard? Reggie, they were good days.
Back in the day, when I just met Richard, I was practicing on my four-wheeler at a racetrack, and he arrived with his girlfriend in a little Bantam Bucky, two-wheel drive. And I think he beat my lap time around the motorbike track in his Bantam Bucky. True story.
He's probably one of the most naturally gifted race drivers that I've ever met. And never mind that, he's actually a Muravalaka oak.
No, he's a lovely oak. He's one of the few mates that I can call a good mate, but unbelievably talented and knowledgeable. A lovely guy.
And Reggie, we're thinking of Daniel the Spaniel and hoping his chemo's working and that he gets back to eating milkshakes, ice cream, swimming and running and the other stuff that he gets up to. Gary.
I just want to know something of you. Terence Marsh he's come up with something of you. What is a booster seat? Terence Marsh, can you guys arrange a booster seat for Evan?
No, he's standing up already.
Yeah, booster seats, what we use to put in the race cars, are people that shouldn't be in race cars, big, long, tall, thin oaks, and their seats go too far back. So when real racing drivers, which are generally small guys, all the fastest oaks are the small guys, we need a few cushions.
Because sometimes you said big, tall, thin oaks. It might be that somebody asking a question is not so thin anymore.
Yeah, I thought it was a family show, so I'm trying to keep it clean.
You know how it's going, guys. Right, this last weekend.
Okay, listen, just a quick one. To everybody out there, all the questions you're putting, we will ask Evan just now. Bear with us, we will get them all answered, I promise.
And yes, it is plain Coke. I checked, it is Coke. So, this last weekend, Gary, Kurt Busch beats his brother. Brilliant side drafting in NASCAR. Got to love that stuff and win. So to all your NASCAR fans, I know you love it and you admire the intricacies of racing around an oval and making a car go fast. Then we watched a Grand Prix, Gary. But
yes. Yeah, the Oaks in front were a bit but the Oaks,
I'll tell you what,
second and third,
there was some really good racing.
Formula Fords could hang it. Those boys hang it at 5 times the speed.
What impressed me most was Charles Leclerc, who managed to flip a switch from from Austria.
Yeah, the last one. The one before
Assen
that.
is Holland, yeah. Oostenrijk, Red Bull Ring, and where he got bullied off the road by the Dutchman, and he flipped his switch, and it was almost as if he'd recycled his brain to say, okay, fine, those are the rules of the game. We go racing, and it was brilliant. Did you enjoy that race?
Yeah, it was good.
Just good, or
good? Just good, yeah.
It was good until the pace car, and then it fell apart.
Yeah.
Pretty much like meeting in your day, you were telling us stories before when you used to meet all the hot chicks, and then they looked hot when their clothes are on, and then their clothes come off, and then...
No idea, I don't know what you're on
Family
about.
show.
No, but that's not what you said earlier. Okay, that was that. Grand Prix was pretty good, and I need my glasses because our research department has been doing some really good stuff. And congratulations to right down the bottom here, Ewan Taylor and Saul Hack on finishing 21 and 23 in the Porsche Super Cup. I say congratulations because actually for the British Grand Prix there are a whole lot of proper, seriously good guys who've had a couple of seasons in these cars, and you need probably 3 seasons in them to survive and run at the sharp end, and they did. So that was very lacquer. And then, Gary, we moved from Sunday to Monday.
Yeah,
and
then
I was very excited, and it was great we attended the competitors briefing for the Kyalami 9 hour, 21, 22, 23 November at Kyalami, the revival of the 9 hour of international GT3 racing. And it was actually really lacquer. You know how much cuck gets spoken by everybody who knows 2/5 of 5/8 of nothing. And they've listened to so-and-so said that, Jimmy said that, and Eric said this, and Paul said that. And then it's going, me. You know that place with a half a mountain where they whine and win? It's like a freaking airport.
Which half have they got, the front or the back half?
Oh, they got the arse end part. Because it's got to be cuck living in Cape Town. Because everybody from Cape Town whines and whinges. What the
Slowly.
I nearly said a bad word.
I know.
I don't know. I don't understand why people who say they love racing bitch and moan all the time. So, okay, that was I love racing. There are 31 confirmed GT3 cars, 10 manufacturers. The 2 that I believe, we haven't seen the list, and when I did look down the list, I didn't get to see the 2 pod. I'm not sure about the Honda, and I'm not sure about the Lexus. And if there's 2 Lexuses, are they Lexuses?
Lexa.
No, because a Lotus used to be Lotuses. And...
Can you whistle?
Not 3, he's like a toothless budgie. Nothing sucks like a toothless budgie. So, anyway, 31 cars. Look, modern motor racing is not cheap. Either as an international, this is effectively a world championship event, even though it's an intercontinental challenge. You're not allowed to call it a world championship unless it's got the FIA badge on it, apparently, Gary.
Right. So this has got an SRO badge on it.
Yeah, which is just as good. And it's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be unbelievable. We heard estimates of crowds. I don't want to go into numbers, but bottom line, it's going to blow your brain.
But besides all of that, what Kyalami and what the people have actually managed to achieve, and this is important, guys, because the racetrack is a car-free zone. In other words, you won't be able to take your car into the track, but you'll be able to get to park and rides, etc., etc. And if you go onto the website, which I'll put into the comment section just now, you can go and have a look where all of these things are. But not only that, you get to a park and ride.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, you get to a park and ride, you get to the front gate, and then from there, they've got all these little things that like buzz you to wherever you want to go and sit. And you can go anywhere on the track.
And if you also want to, there's a special Uber drop zone. Or what do they call those things, pay and ride. Anyway, the details don't matter. Bottom line, if you like racing, if you want something hard enough, you work for it, don't you, Evan?
Yeah, you'll get it.
So if you like racing, put some effort in. So that's GT3.
Besides that, it was so awesome to be able to, on the spur of the moment, catch Toby Venter, Willie Venter, and Ferdinand Rueda from the SRO.
Do you know
give us a spontaneous interview right then and there live? Boom, and we on the button, boys.
So Fernando Rueda, he is ex-rally driver, and he tried a self-briflace with an oxygen tank, but that didn't work so good. So race is going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it. Then the next day, and it's been a week of really, really good news for motorsport in South Africa. Next day, we've been seeing this 3-cylinder Polo. It's not a Polo. It's a Vivo GT.
Yeah.
Running around in rallies for a while. It sounds kind of lekker, almost like a V12 but idling. Well, it is because it's got the same firing plane. It's like technical stuff. And so it's a turbo 3-cylinder 1-liter. So Volkswagen have announced the Vivo GT Challenge.
That's right.
Bottom line, you go and buy a car fully rally prepared, and you can either look after it yourself and go and race it, or
they're starting a thing called customer racing, which is
unlike Evan, who can work on his cars. Someone like me who I know not so much about spannering, and if I just wanted to arrive and rally, I could ask VW Motorsport to look after my car. They'd arrive it there, and I'd drive it there. Yeah,
you arrive, get into the car, and go drive. Come back, go and chill. They supply, if it's a customer racing thing, which we will do this interview when we're down there.
That's the other good news. We're going to watch the Bay West Rally.
Yes.
PE, brother, here we come.
And we will do a whole thing and the interviews with the right people. So watch us on Friday and Saturday. We'll be live with it. We'll interview Mike Rowe. We'll interview the technical boys. We will have a look at the car. We'll turn it upside down, see what it's made of.
It's made of Volkswagen, Gary. Now, I remember the last Volkswagen looked at, it was really lekker. So, if you're a rallyist and you want to go rallying, and check out the Vivo Polo, VW Vivo GT Racing page. Gary will stick the thing in there. Give Cobus Roos a call. He's kind of looking after the thing. All right, enough of that stuff, Gary. Let's just see because they're notes that production asked me to look at and research. Oh, not first of all, a huge congratulations to Matt and Bianca, my daughter. They got Matt actually asked her to marry him on Saturday morning, and she said yes. It's a family show. I'm indulging in.
Contact my sidekick.
So Maddie and B, they're getting married. Woo! Happy birthday to Wayne Taylor and Joel Stransky.
Yeah, now, they had birthdays.
Yeah, and
happy birthday, Wayne.
Sorry for Doug Kemsley, huge motoring journalist. He did a lot for rallying. Cool guy. And he's now gone to the rally track in the sky. And we always remember Jules Bianchi. Right, Gary.
That's I.
It's about time we spoke to the shortest oak with the biggest mouth, they say. Evan Hutchison, you've done a whole lot of stuff. You've raced, you've rallied, you've off-roaded, you've trialled. You've had a lot of fun in your... And you've done a lot of stuff. It hasn't always been easy.
No, it's never easy. It's fun, but it's not easy. And trying to make it professionally is makes it that much more difficult. But the little bit of the fun that you get out of success in the racing is what drives you to carry on trying hard. Yeah. And
you're not just a selfish guy. You brought Elvine Coetzee, Cassie Coetzee's daughter, into rallying. That was sort of a bit of a chance meeting.
Yeah, I was. It's an interesting story. I've done 1 year of rallying, and with a navigator who chose to move on to another car, and
it's a bitch when that happens. Eh?
Yeah.
Moving along. There's some things about which we shall not speak.
So it was a bit of a difficult situation, and there wasn't much time left before the next race, and I needed to find somebody. And Elvina had done done a bit of rallying already, and I listened very well to my wife, so I thought it would be a good idea to put a woman in the car. And Elvine came with a lot of pedigree, so yeah, we learned a lot of rallying together. I think it was new for the two of us, and we tried hard, and we were passionate, and we got some success.
Our research department neglected to inform me of a couple of things. Like? I had to ask you earlier, you've won a few South African championships. It's not just a few, it's a little bit more than a few.
Yeah, it's 8 championships in total, 1 in rally. In 2009 we won 1 rally, the rest are off-road. Yeah.
So let's just talk about rallying, just to link to the previous story. The car you drove was a Toyota, effectively a 2-wheel drive S2000.
Yeah, very much so. It was a Runx A7, which was the same motor as the S2000s. It was just two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive.
And that thing woke you up in the morning?
Big time. Yeah, that was very, very difficult to learn to drive, coming from a big V8, which was full of torque and hundreds of horsepowers. And I got into this little 2-litre high-revving car, and I wasn't very good at it, actually. I battled and asked. It had been Mark Cronier's championship-winning car from the year before, and I'd been to my first rally and got my arse handed to me on a platter, and I thought I better get in the car with Mark and just see what the car can actually do.
So Mark coached you a little bit, helped you get a couple of things. What were if you had two big standout things that you learned from Mark in going real quick, what were they?
I'd done some racing with Mark in the off-road, but in that rally car it was just so different, and the biggest difference was how you have to wring that motor's neck. It was just unbelievable, you know.
What did it rev to?
9,000 RPM was max, but it only woke up at about 7,000, so I wasn't used to beating an engine up like that. I just couldn't get my head around it, and after I spent a bit of time in the car with him, it was almost like he had absolutely no respect for the car or the engine, but I soon realized that that's what you have to do to go fast.
Either that, or we had good understanding that thing could rev to 9.5 all day long.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I just couldn't get my head around it, and after I didn't spend a lot of time in the car with him. He spent an hour or so, and made a huge difference to me learning to drive that car. More, not necessarily the skills of driving, but how to drive that particular car. It would have taken me a long time to have worked it out, and everything I've learned in racing, I've learned from other people. I had nothing naturally, you know. So
no, you put yourself down. I mean, clearly you've got natural skill. It's the fine tuning and the honing that a clever guy goes and learns from somebody else instead of breaking cars and costing himself money.
Yeah, so with that particular car, which for me was very different to what I knew, made a big difference. And I did that halfway through the first season, and then we started getting some results, and I started pushing it a little bit. But
you never crashed that car much?
I never crashed it at all, unfortunately, which meant I wasn't going fast enough in rally. It's quite simple. We never crashed the car, and a couple of Serge told me once, I was chatting to him, lucky enough, he watched a few things, and I talked to him about racing, and he said to me that I'm not going really fast enough if I'm not crashing.
What were in a rally car on the dirt, what are the most rewarding moments where you come out of that and those bits that warm parts of your body that need warming?
Yeah, you know, I was rallying at the same time that I was running the off-road series, and people often ask me the question, what do you think of the different disciplines, etc., etc. And rally, I had to get used to. You know, there was like a lot of hurry up and wait, and you're always getting chased by a clock. Don't get in too early, don't go late, and it's just time and stop and wait. But when you're going, and you know that road, and you've gone through the notes as many times as you could, and Elvine would make us go through the notes a lot more than I really wanted to, but she just had this unbelievable passion, and that obviously helped us a lot. But when you flat out in a rally car through two or three corners where you're on the limit, it's incredibly rewarding. I mean, you got to have some natural talent, or you got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to rely on that instinct to get you through those corners. So I used to say 2 or 3 corners in that S2000 where you flat out, where you're absolutely going, is more rewarding than an entire off-road race. But those moments come few and far between, and at a rally you do more sitting around waiting than actually racing. So it was good, it was great, but for me I was more into the off-road and the endurance side of things. Yeah.
So if you had a choice now, where we Gary, 2019, eh?
Yeah.
You had a choice now, and I want to talk to you a little bit about or ask you a little bit about how you managed to do, because racing just it's not cheap. We alluded to it a little bit earlier. You managed to put together a very professional team, and we'll get back to that. But assuming you could go and somebody said to you, you can go and do what you want to do. Excuse me, what would that be?
I'd go and get in a 4-wheel drive bucky and go, go see where that could take us. You know, I ran the four-wheel drive in the special category for a year, or 2 years actually, and it was enjoyable learning to drive that four-wheel drive. It was difficult, but I enjoyed the process. At the time, special vehicles were still winning races overall, and they were sort of, to me, they were the premier class. But since then, they've taken over, and you know, we used to look for the rough sections where we knew we would catch and pass the buckies because they weren't too good. But nowadays, that Toyota is just as quick as the specials through the rough stuff. So, yeah, that's the one chapter that I would like to still go and have a look at. Yeah.
Talking about that chapter and racing buckies, although we're not allowed to really call them that, Toyota Gazoo Racing South Africa absolutely dominated the Silkway Rally. Nasser Al-Attiyah and Matthew Baumel finishing, Gary, like hours ahead of everybody else. They won all the stages. It was a whitewash. Oh, and by the way, there were other cars that were really quick. There were some proper quick minis and buggies and things like that. So congratulations to that whole team, to Glenn, who puts together a proper team. So have you asked Glenn for a driving one?
Every time I see him.
Is that why he doesn't return your phone calls?
Come on, Glenn.
Yes, Gary.
Make a phone call.
Gary, Glenn, the cool thing about Evan is that you can make the cockpit a whole lot smaller because he's like...
Yeah, you can redesign the whole car and change the center of gravity and get the weight balance even different.
Yeah, but you need to put steps going to get into it because, like, what are you, about 4'3"?
You just run and jump. It's not hard to get in.
And they'll have to get an emergency slide thing that you get in an airplane for him to get out.
Gary, you got questions?
No, it's just Julie Hutchison says, hello, Dad.
Dad, my daughter.
Hello. Say hello to your daughter. Say, wave, say hello,
Hello,
daughter.
Tyler. Hello, Luke. How's the family?
Does Luke calls you Shorty now?
No.
Or Loudmouth?
He's not allowed to call me either.
Just Dad.
Just Dad's good enough, yeah.
Cool. In the world. So you win a championship in off-road, I mean in rallying, but you've also been banned, or your car that you built and all of that's been banned. That's got to be better than winning a championship.
At the time, it wasn't. It was dramatic. But now that when we look back, I mean, I take it as that's a big feather in our cap.
So rewind a little bit. There's a bit of history going on here. You're running two-wheel drive bats with the best brand, a rum and coke drinker in the entire world, Nick Uerster, Nick the fisherman. Unbelievable. And then talk us through from there through to getting banned. And I know we've only got 45 minutes.
I'll just talk on the four-wheel drive side. So we had the two different categories that we raced. It was special vehicles and production vehicles, and we were in special vehicles. And at the time, there were no rules for what you built apart from the safety rules. And the year before we did it, Century Racing built a two-wheel drive, a small little two-wheel drive a four-wheel drive turbocharged car, which in theory was a great idea. So we did the same thing. The difference is we were successful, and
and you had a proper V8 in it.
And we had a proper V8 in it, yeah. And we kept it simple. Achim had been building a production vehicle, and we had seen that thing on the jig and thought, well, we don't have to bolt all the rest of this stuff on the car. We should go and race it like it is. So we built a special vehicle. It was a four-wheel. Basically, it was an SP vehicle at the time with a fiberglass body on top. And we went to Motorsport, told them what we were doing and what we wanted to do, which was fine at the time. And they weren't worried about what we were doing because someone had already tried that the year before and it ruffled no feathers.
But then you went fast.
And then we went fast. Yeah, Achim built me an incredible car, and he was navigating for me as well. And we had a couple of good races. We won the first four, and we won the championship before the year was up. And then we were told that that's not going to race in that form any longer. Yeah.
Was there some lobbying, and the trick question, was there some lobbying by guys who were getting beaten in it?
I've got no idea where the stories came from. I was just sent the message at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've suffered a couple of those things too.
You know, like I said at the time, it wasn't like we'd put a lot of money into a car and we had to change a whole lot of things to fit in with. And I understand it now, and it was the way it goes. But as we were saying earlier, it's become a cool story. You know, it's you've done really well if you to finish a race, and off-road is hard. To win a race is really difficult. And to
get banned was easy.
To get banned is that much more difficult. But
it's a mega compliment, but I think just as you talking about it, if we look at the way off-road racing is now, and the class, the FIA class is 20 odd racing buckies there that are world class vehicles. If it had gone buggy, four-wheel drive buggy, you probably wouldn't have got here. And that four-wheel drive buggy was a bit of a Frankenstein thing. Nowhere in the world do they do that.
No, we had no rules, so we built it to the rules of the class at the time, and that's when we were busy getting involved in the whole FIA set of rules. So maybe we're lucky we got it in time. If we'd done it, we wouldn't have been able to do it any later. So. Yeah, it was fun. We had a lot of fun with it, and it was an incredible car. We should never have sold it. We should have just kept it. That
was going to be my next question. Where's that car now?
That car made trouble wherever it went. I sold to Australia, and it won the Australasian Safari. In its first year, it actually came second because it ran out of petrol. It should have won it. In the following year, it did win it, and then they had enough of that car there as well, so it got banned again. It went to China. I think it went to China, and it got a bucky body on it. I think it was a Mitsubishi body, and it raced there for a while. I'm not too sure where it is now, but it definitely ruffled feathers wherever it went. Yeah,
it would be cool to hunt that car down and bring it back and put it back in the. What livery did you end up running it in?
We ran it in Motorite livery. The body we took a radio controlled car at the time, and we'd heard about 3D scanning, so we bought a buggy, a radio control car, and we scanned it and we scaled it up and we stuck that body on. So it was actually a Traxxas, which is a big model in America. All the trucks or truggies run those. So it was a Traxxas radio control body.
Robbie Gordon runs one of those. You mentioned Motorite, Justin Cooper. He probably has had has had a mega influence on your career and in off-road racing. How did you guys meet, and how did you manage to put together such a professional outfit together with Justin?
Look, it was Justin's team. It was a product that they used within the business, within Motorite, to market the business. The motor warranties. They dealt with the motor industry, and they traditionally had been taking their clients and customers to rugby and cricket and et cetera, et cetera. And when I'd spoken to him, he said, well, that's really that's the space we should be working in. So it was a...
Hold on, you got a motor business and they're taking their customers to rugby and cricket. That's a bit doff. And so now you gave them a vehicle or a way to bring their motoring customers into motor racing.
Yeah, so it was a natural fit. You know, it worked when I took a proposal to him, and as soon as he saw it, he said that's a good idea. And it was our corporate entertainment program that I took to him, wherever we went testing, we took clients with us. You know, it's a 2 seats, so you've got a spare seat next to you. Put a few people in those seats, and we realised that the value of giving somebody this experience. So it was based around corporate days and corporate entertainment. So we would have a big test session, whatever you want to call it, the week before a race, and we would get 20 or 30 customers out. I would do 200, 300 kilometers of testing or taking people for rides and entertaining customers. And this is what they want to do. They wanted to get involved. They wanted to get into this car. And if you had the right sales figures and the right numbers, you get invited to a corporate day. So it really worked. It was a dinkum story of sponsorship working. It worked for the product. It worked for the company. And Justin, it was his team. He made all the big decisions and he drove it. I drove the car and I ran the workshop side of things. I was one of the rules was no excuses. He didn't want to hear any excuses. You go out, if you lose, it was because you were slow or you made cuck. But he wanted no other excuses, and I tried my best to give him what I had promised. And as much as I have a big mouth, I managed to to deliver on what I said I would do. Yeah,
You walk the talk.
yeah, I walk the talk. When I say luckily, we spoke earlier. You need a lot of luck, and the first time I had a discussion with him, he asked me, what class do you want to go into? And the first thought was, we go Class A straight away. And I thought to myself, over the next few days, that would be lekker. But I think the right thing to do would be we go and start in Class B. So that's a decision that was hard for me. I could have had a big car, but I chose to go the sensible route.
Guys, Evan Hutchison, sensible. Reggie, can you believe it?
Just a quick one. I want to know, what is your relationship with George Smallberger?
I've got no relationship with Smallberger.
Well,
he's
he
a
says
friend of a friend.
He calls you, Evan, you beauty, how's it but?
He's a good guy called George.
Except for his bonnet. Because he always leaves the bonnet pins open. George, when you go...
Did you hear about the accident?
No,
He went 400 meters high at 350 kilometers per hour.
in his 1600 Golf.
Correct. Magnificent accident. Magnificent. Ask him about it. He'll tell you.
This is going to be an interesting
So, George,
weekend.
we will be in P this weekend.
Yeah, we're coming for you,
But
George.
in the bay, make sure that before you go out testing or whatever, that the bonnet is closed and the pins are in. So, George, if the bonnet comes up, it's your fault, eh? Nobody else's. Don't bitch and complain. Gary,
Yeah.
what else have you got coming from all the questions?
A lot of them, actually, you guys, as you've discussed it, you've actually answered all those questions. So it's no use repeating them because otherwise we sound like a cake veer, and we're not cake veer.
What is, Evan, your favoritist car that you've ever driven in any form whatsoever?
Including road cars.
Anything. If it's got wheels. You know our version of...
Yeah.
My last race car, the Viper, was a good car. We won a couple of championships in it.
It wasn't a Dodge Viper. This is your off-road racing or cross-country racing.
It was a derivative of the Bat. Over the years, different people had owned the brand, and we weren't with. The Bat actually was a Viper. Sorry, we had gone back to. So it was a Bat that we built, and after all the years of building cars, that was the best, and it was built around me, and I got really used to it. So I really enjoyed that. But the Ferrari 458 is also a very pleasurable car to drive.
As a road car or race car?
I've only driven one on the road, but it was just an incredible experience. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about some of the endurance racing in South Africa and GT racing on the track?
I'm mad about motorsport and any type of. I'd love to go do track race. I've never done any track racing. Luckily, with the rally, we would end up on a few racetracks.
But you were, Alvine says that you were really quick on the tar.
Alvine says so. Yeah, she keeps telling me I used to battle a bit. I believe that we could have done a little bit better, but obviously we did enough to win a couple of the tar stages where we went. I love racing. So honestly, I could go and race anything.
What is it about racing when you talk to so many people and it's just, I love racing? What is it? What's that thing that makes it so lekker? I'm trying to work out what it is.
It's the excitement of pushing limits and and living on the edge. It is that, I try and after you've done enough, you forget about some of the speeds and the dangerous corners and the dangerous things we do, and you need to put people who haven't been in race cars next to you, and you get an idea of, it takes you back to before you were in a racing car. Our cars, we got live intercom systems, so I took over 1,000 people in the seat next to me.
And how does it work with their brains? They're computing the speed and the roughness of the roads, because those things of yours, those off-road thingies, they can handle the most. For me, it's mind-blowing. How does a normal guy, what are people's reactions to it?
You can't comprehend. That's the beauty of it. We get used to it. So, we had a test track at Geritech where we did many laps, and we would start off trying to scare them. So straight away, flat out down the straight, big jump, cars in the air. It gets flicked a little bit sideways, and you come to a nice sharp left. And I could hear the people breathing, their mouths right next to and you could see as I put my foot down in first gear, that guy takes a huge breath. And I'd say to them, you must breathe, you must. But their brain's telling them when you get to that corner, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Because there's no ways their brain can comprehend that we're going to stop and turn this car. So often people said to me, I thought I was going to die, I thought I was going to die. That was often a thought that. So it was exciting for them because they didn't die.
And over the years, so you've taken somebody for a drive a couple of years before, and you meet them. And the look in their eyes when they see you again, and it brings back all that terror back to them.
Yeah, it's an awesome experience because a lot of them I don't even remember. I'd have 20 people or 30 people, and I'd put my helmet on and I'd take one after another, and every time I looked at them, they'd have their helmet on. So you don't really recognize them afterwards, but it lights a fire in them, It was something super exciting. Most of them say it's an experience that they'll just never forget. It was the most incredible, unbelievable experience. And I think it's because you feel like you've taken yourself out of this normal place in life, We live and we have burglar bars and we drive carefully and we have seat belts and all these things to try to keep ourselves safe. And now people are going to put themselves into this environment that's not safe, and their brain's telling them this. It's not.
But it is relatively safe because you're not going flat out, and actually you want to go home to your wife and your kids.
I used to say to the people when they get in the car, I'm not worried about you, I'm not even thinking about you, I'm worried about myself, I'm keeping myself alive. So if I stay alive, you'll stay alive. I don't think about somebody next to me. And in a corporate environment, you're not racing, like we do in some events. Even in off-road events, you're going at 9/10 most of the time, and if you get to the end of an event, sometimes you've got to push, and we do take a few chances when you're pushing. But when you're in a corporate environment, a corporate entertainment environment like that, you're not at 100%. Plus, you know exactly where you're going. You've done many laps, but it's that mind shift that a person just cannot understand. Can't comprehend how you could stop or how you could turn, or big holes and things. They start reaching for things to hold on to
and looking for the brake pedal.
Yeah, and it just comes and goes, and they're like, where was that hole? Where? So it's just they're not used to it, and that's what's exciting for other people, for navigators. But as for racers, it's getting the most out of life. It's living 100%. You feel really alive, and you're in a car and you're racing, and you're doing all these exciting things, and you're passing trees at 150 or 170 or 180 kilometers per hour. It's exciting.
There's that meme, Gary, we'll get to you now. There's that meme that says, be careful, you only live once. And I think it's Charlie Brown and Snoopy. Yeah, but you only die once or whatever. But yes, you only live once. And if you're going to live it.
Yeah, don't forget to live once. I'm that character. I suppose that's the kind of person I am. When we go out partying, we party hard, and when we go racing, we race hard. And whenever I do something, I try and do it to the best of my ability, or I don't really want to do it. I'm an extreme personality, I suppose.
Typical racing driver.
That's one of the characteristics I think you need, yeah.
Also psychopaths and other strange people.
Thanks.
Gary, you got some questions?
Stephen Jacobs asked a question. You've probably answered it as we discussed it. But what are you planning next? Anything big, exciting?
No.
Okay. Reggie Root asks...
Is he still watching?
Yeah.
It's not bad, eh?
Reggie's got to, because otherwise the Spaniel will get upset with him. The Spaniel's actually our fan. Reggie just holds the phone for the Spaniel. He says, where did the name Bat come from?
I think it was Regardt who came up with that, or it was Bevan Berthold. But it was, if you've ever seen a bat fly... Nothing changes direction like a bat, they just sort of instantly change direction.
Okay. My ex-wife.
I've got no idea what you...
Changes direction. Or changes her mind, like faster than a bat.
And
I used to call her Bat Girl.
About turning, how I could change direction as quickly as possible, yeah.
Okay, and then another one from Stephen Jacobs. What is your most scariest moment? Obviously in driving cars and racing the things you did. What is the most scary moment that's stuck in your memory?
Oh, we've had I didn't have too many accidents, but we had one big fast accident down in Cape Town early on in the morning.
On an off-road or rally?
On an off-road event, and a long story short, we ended up off the route because of fertilizer that had been done. Anyway, we hit a big hole, and we were going very, very fast, and we rolled and rolled and rolled for a long time. And when we finished rolling, we were on our side, and the next guy behind us hit the same hole and put him out of control, and then he hit us again.
And righted you?
And we carried on rolling some more, but then it also caught us a lot.
Oh, really?
So yeah, myself and Achim were in the car lying on its side. The car was on fire. Achim was half conscious. So that wasn't a pleasant experience because you. But having said that,
It's
only
scary
scary
enough.
now when I look back. At the time, you just go into a default mode and I got out of the car and ran away. But Achim was still in the car, so I went back to fetch him, and we got out and we were all right.
I think that a lot of non-drivers, people who haven't driven, think that they look at some of the batshit crazy stuff that drivers do and think that it's drivers get scared. But all the drivers I've spoken to, no one's ever got scared or admitted to it.
Yeah, you do.
You have a wake up and your heart beats fast, but fear.
Yeah, fear is healthy. I think you got to have some sort of parameters, otherwise you just won't make the end of the event.
Is there a difference between fear and being scared?
That's too technical for me, that question. Fear and being scared.
Would you like another Coke?
One more Coke. You, as racing drivers, I say we get used to going faster and faster and faster. So, like for us,
Until you go fasterist.
then you make cuckerist. So you get used to going fast, like the guys will say. Backstage, we're only doing 140 down there, and I'll say, you put it into perspective. Go get in your car and drive down the highway at 140, and you see what cuckerist you can make. So we get used to the speeds, and we calibrate ourselves with those speeds. So but you are going fast, and you are in a dangerous situation. Yeah? We manage the situations very well, but that's what makes it exciting is going as fast as you can in that particular terrain. Yeah.
I see that you still got that glint in that either you're a naughty little shit. Well, we know you are, but you've got that glint and that love of racing, and some of the stories you tell. Maybe our HD camera that we're filming in 8K doesn't pick it up, but that glint in your eye, you want to get back in a car again, don't you?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's been 20-something years that I've been racing, and it becomes a part of you. And I'm looking to go and possibly have to go and do something different now, because to raise funds to go and races, not possible. It hasn't been possible since I stopped, but it's become part of my DNA, and it's almost a problem that you get. It's just so ingrained in what I do. It's like an addiction. I'm battling to get away from it, and I don't know if it's other racing drivers are like it. I'm sure it's all the same, but I lived in that moment so dramatically for such a long time that the further into something that you get, the harder it is to get out.
Gary, I mean,
just a quick one.
You've got to go and do some stuff.
We've got to go and do something. Quickly, Robbie Coetzee wants to know, what was your favourite off-road and or rally event?
It'll be off-road, and that will probably be Ladenburg. You all know Ladenburg, and the most incredible terrain to go and race in. We did well there. We always had a good time when we were out there, but the terrain was just magnificent. It lent itself to super flat-out racing, lots of mountains and rolling green hills, and I think that was my favourite.
One last question, but this is from me, not anybody online. What's with Fox?
Fox suspension is a suspension I ran on my car for all the years, and we've ended up with the agency. We have the agency for Fox suspension for Bucky's, and we still do that at the moment. So we're the distributors for that. So good suspension, good shocks to put in your car.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've got to do what I've got to do.
Oh, but hold on,
just a
there's
quick
stuff. What's coming up this weekend?
Just a quick one. You don't know about this.
It's all
yet,
a quick one.
but we're putting it together. Next week, excuse me, guys, but next week we come to you from a different location. It's fast, it's noisy, and it only goes straight. And there's a reason for it, because the Sunday after that...
We're having my birthday party.
No, we're going to be doing some...
Yeah, but that's my birthday party, Gary, the 28th.
Yeah, on the 28th we're going to be doing something live from another crazy place.
No, it's the 28th of July, and he wants to be going to work.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
I think I'll get legal onto this.
Just want to let you guys know, but we are going to be doing something very different and very exciting next week.
What's coming up this weekend? Rally.
Yes.
It's the
Bay West.
Bay West Rally in PE, brother.
Yeah.
Essen, which is... Where's Essen, Gary? It's in Holland.
In Holland.
So Essen, it's a W Series, Tasman Pepper, and then W... What are they race in Germany, Gary?
DTM.
Deutsche
Yeah.
Tourer Meisterschaft.
By the way, this W series,
Yeah.
this is the only weekend they have 2 races.
Yeah, but one is a points race and the other one is a reverse. The race on Sunday. Saturday is a points race.
Yeah,
Then they're going to reverse the whole grid
for the second
for
race.
the Sunday race,
Yeah.
and there's no points.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things that comes out of these races is they swap cars for each race meeting. But if you bend the car or crash it in this race meeting, you get the repaired crashed car for the next
Yeah, it
weekend.
doesn't go back into the pool again.
So big shout out to Sheldon van der Linde and Jono Aberdeen
Yes.
for Ascent. Guys, we need to start seeing you in the top 7. And we'll put a little bit of effort there, boys. I want to just like push and make it happen. Evan, you're a character of note. Gary's got to shake his hand because he's got to go and
Well,
do stuff.
Thank you very much. Great having you on the show. I've got to do my thing.
You're a character of note. It's been unbelievably entertaining. I'd like to actually sit down and maybe have a beer one day and leave the camera rolling in the background so you can tell some of those interesting stories and the situations that you got yourself out of with a whole lot of reprobate characters in racing. There are many of them. You know who you are, Reggie. Thank you very much for spending time with us and being straightforward and honest. It's been magic talking to you.
Yeah, good. Thank you for the opportunity. As we were talking earlier, the racing people form part of the racing family, and like you said, you bump into people anywhere. You can always talk about racing, and it's close to my heart, very close to my heart, and it's always fun. It's always enjoyable. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Evan. And thank you, one and all, for watching us. It's been episode 88 of Waved Yellow. Join us on Friday and Saturday this weekend. We're down at the rally. We're going to check out this new R1 Vivo GT Cup car. Enjoy your week. Be safe, be fast, and have fun. Thanks for watching. Cheers.